Welcome to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, hoping and praying that you are in the best of health and that you are looking forward to a great and exciting day the same way we are here at home. And today is June 23, 2022. It's a Thursday, and we will have two very interesting guests. First will be Dr. Maricar Limpin, and followed by the chairman, Prospero de Vera III. Hindi ko kasi matandaan kung Popoy siya o Popong, but we will be discussing important topics with each of them. First would be about the vaping or the vape law, and it's important because the groups that are opposed to that law are hoping, wishing, praying that President Duterte will veto the bill. However, the question is, does the president still have the law before him? Is he still aware of this situation or this need to veto the bill? Or is he going to just simply allow the proposed law in Congress to pass into law without him doing anything about it? That's the main issue at hand. And of course, we will be speaking with Dr. Maricar Limpin regarding vaping and the apparent problems involved with those of you who insist on vaping as a personal choice, a personal pleasure, whatever. Anyway, then Popoy or Popong or Prospero de Vera will hopefully update us regarding the K-12, because there are now calls to review the K-12 program, but there are also things in colleges that need to be reviewed or looked into in relation to the K-12. Then there is the proposal for the ROTC to be revived. And everyone is talking about ROTC, but no one seems to be discussing the involvement, the role, or the authority of schools concerning the program. Because generally, traditionally, historically, the universities and colleges have simply made an arrangement with a representative of the AFP or the ROTC program and allowed them to do things with very little supervision until somebody gets hurt, gets killed, etc. And last but not the least, okay, so that there will be the ROTC, there will be the K-12, and most important of all is the call for many sectors to revive the or restart university and college programs for nursing, business administration, IT, because apparently the CHED had issued a circular in 2010 that says freeze the ball. And we have so much catching up to do. We will discuss that. But for the meantime, let's get on with our daily starter. And today's daily starter is from the philosopher Seneca. The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately. Okay, the whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately. You know, Seneca is was such a deep thinker, and to this day, centuries later, he is still relevant because our future nowadays is so uncertain. There is the uncertainty of global peace, regional peace, etc. And everybody's worrying about the fuel, about jobs, about food, etc. And security is the big word in many aspects: food security, energy security, territorial security. And unfortunately, many of us fail to live. Kumbaga, I wrote a column for tomorrow's opinion in the Philippine Star opinion page, where I said that everybody's talking about future proofing, but not preparing for the eventualities of that future. And it's in the Bible. So anyway, as far as the daily starter is concerned, the whole future lies in uncertainty. Walang kasiguruhan. Hindi ka nakakasiguro kung may kinabukasan ka. So for the moment, sa ngayon, mabuhay ka, kaibigan. Live. Di ba? Hindi, it's not just yung, mabuhay, welcome to the Philippines. No, mabuhay is so apt for what Seneca was saying, live, mabuhay. Okay, so that's our daily starter. Let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star and the headline of the Star today. NTC blocks 25 quote, red unquote websites. Okay, the National Telecommunications Commission has disconnected 25 websites suspected to be representative of communist organizations, terrorist organizations, and this was done as in response to the request of the National Security Council. Okay, and there is a lot of reaction to that because some of those websites were media websites. So it will now become an issue of freedom of the press and versus national security, etc., etc. At the top of the front page, DOH sees significant increases in COVID cases. Okay, now, in the past few months, we have tried to reassure the public that these are just small increases from past records or past accounts. But apparently, in its latest proclamation, the DOH is already calling the attention of people. While we are not, as they say, in the lockdown levels, there is cause for concern. So people need to be aware and conscious of public health practices such as wearing the face mask. Hindi po talaga pwedeng hindi gamitin yan. And then social distancing in confined areas, closed or confined areas. And then, of course, washing hands, etc., etc. Okay, that big picture of armed men and patrol boats is a photo related to preparations being made for the inauguration or the swearing in of President-elect Bongbong Marcos, while DILG Secretary Anyo has declared that there is no real security threats in relation to the BBM inauguration. That photo is a security exercise of the Philippine Coast Guard, while those two men with Armalites or automatic rifles are securing the National Historical Institute, baka nyo yun, okay? No, National Museum, sorry. National Museum, which will be the venue for the inauguration of President Bongbong Marcos. Okay, now, the center photo is a photo of a young boy posing at the Marikina Mega Vaccination Center yesterday as the government rolled out the first booster doses for immunocompromised children 12 to 17 years old. Please, I repeat, they are immunocompromised. They have, they're sick or are challenged because of a medical condition and they are being given the booster shot. Hindi po yung basta 12 to 17, okay na, okay? And on the right of that, CHED supports review of K-12 program. We hope to discuss that with CHED Chairman Prospero de Vera III. Below that article, we have a photo of an exhibitor showing off his robotic inventions during the National ICT Month 2022, okay, at the technology communication, DICT offices in the campus of the University of the Philippines. Okay. Concepcion pushes second boosters for age 50 and up. And that photo to the left, lower left of the paper, we have a photograph of Ambassador Jose Manuel Babes Romualdez receiving the U.S. Philippine Society's Carlos P. Romulo Award from former U.S. Ambassador and Chairman, Co-Chairman John Negroponte and Manuel Pangilinan, MVP, with the President, with the USP President, Ambassador John Maisto. Okay. Last but not the least, Secretary Dar, okay, William Dar, has stated that the NFA, or National Food Authority, needs 170 billion pesos in order for price to go down to 27.50 per kilo. Yun na po. So, kumbaga, kailangan maglabas ng pera ang incoming Bongbong Marcos administration. Let's go for a quick break. When we return, we continue with the program here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, thanking you for joining us today here on Agenda and for being subscribers of Cignal TV, viewers of One News PH on channels 8 and 250. And thank you also to PLDT. And of course, greetings to all our friends, our viewers, and kamusta na rin sa mga kaibigan ko dyan sa Essilor and BMEG. Okay, now the action on smoking and health Philippines. urge President-elect Bongbong Marcos to protect the Filipinos from the harm of cigarette smoking and vaping. Let's get to know more about their representative by watching this introduction.
Dr. Maricar Limpin currently serves as the Executive Director of Action in Smoking and Health Philippines. She's also the current president of the Philippine College of Physicians. Aside from her public health service, Dr. Limpin is a practicing physician at the Philippine Heart Center.
Okay, that's Dr. Maricar Limpin's intro, pero hindi mo na kailangan ng introduction, Dr. Maricar. You are all over the place. You are such a busy health advocate, and thank you for joining us this morning. What is the situation or status regarding that proposed law by some vapers in Congress?
Yeah, so it is now with the office of the president, no? So the president will kung hindi niya kung hindi siya kahit hindi niya masignan yung bill na yan, it will lapse into law after 30 days. So ang apela ho namin sa presidente na sana ay i-veto na lang niya ito because it's going to ruin yung legacy na nailagay na niya in place, and this is to really regulate the vaping products, to protect particularly the Filipino children.
Okay, now how sure are you that the president is aware of the situation or is reminded na, Mr. President, hindi pa ho ninyo nabibito yung bill na yan, baka mag-lapse into law? Because I'm sorry, Dr. Maricar, ang dami ko na rin na-witness na presidente, mga executive secretaries, mga kumbaga, marami ng pagkakataon na may mga nawalang documents dyan sa Malacanang, hindi naman tinago o hindi nabaon sa limot at sa dami ng papeles. And also because the president has reportedly packed his bags and is simply just waiting for his retirement in Davao. Meron ba kayong friend dyan sa Office of the President or Office of the Executive Secretary kung saan such requests or petitions are decided on? If they are going to reach the president or not?
Well, unfortunately, wala naman kaming any connection with the office of the president, sa kanyang executive secretary or anyone in the office of the president. We are just hoping that through the maybe through the help or the assistance of our Secretary of Health, that we will be able to reach the President and relay the information to him that there is a need to veto this particular bill and that this bill is already in his office.
Okay, now given that reality, you are hoping that before it lapses into law 30 days after the president's term, is there a judicial remedy to that? Kasi mag-o-oath taking si BBM June 30, so you have up to July 30 to resolve the problem. What remedies are left to you? Meron ba kayong champion in the Senate? Meron ba kayong champion in Congress? Is there a plan of attack with the media to make sure, or have you solicited the support of incoming Vice President Sara Duterte, who will also be sitting as our Secretary of Education, for example?
Yes, actually, we are also hoping that Senator Pia Cayetano will be able to help us, because she has always been the champion for health of the Filipino people, and I believe that that it is very important that we get her help no, since she is also within the party of the president. So I am hoping that she will be able to do that for us. Now, as to reaching Vice President Sara Duterte, of course, we are also trying to find ways, no, on how we can get to her so that she can also hopefully, no, help us when she assumes her office as Vice President. But before that, Cito,
Yeah.
there is actually a recent ruling of the Supreme Court, no, regarding the mandate of the FDA. I think this is the most important of all, no. Yung kasi in the new vape bill that was passed in Congress, they shifted the power to regulate the vape products to the Department of Trade and Industry. So you know that when you transfer that regulatory power to the DTI, it is basically saying only that this is just about trade. Not this is about economy, but that is not correct because vape products has been shown to have deleterious effect. No, sa Amerika nga nagkaroon na ng mga e-valley cases where people died, and definitely as far as protecting the health, no, of the Filipino people, the only one with that particular mandate is the Department of Health together with the Food and Drug Administration. Therefore, ang DTI has no constitutional mandate as far as health is concerned. So dapat yan mapunta yan talaga sa sa FDA, no? And that is why we are strongly against this kasi it looks like it looks like because this is really something that the industry has really pushed for. And if the president will not be able to veto this and this lapsed into law, I think we need to take necessary legal process, no, and we are looking into raising this particular concern to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, but why wait until the next president comes into office? Because I am aware of that law. I mean, of that decision of the Supreme Court. It was a case that took 13 years to determine, and the Supreme Court, after 13 years, declared that tobacco products and the industry are subject to the regulatory powers of the Food and Drug Administration. Now, having said that, the vaping bill as proposed, shifting the lowering the age from 21 to 18, and then challenging it, directly challenges the decision of the Supreme Court that places the products and the industry under the FDA. I mean, why can't you just go to the Supreme Court and say, your honorable magistrates, mukhang gustong makaisa nitong mga nag-propose ng bill na ito dahil para mailagay na sa DTI by law. I mean, that's clearly manipulation through legislation.
Yes, right. You have a point there, Cito. So I think on that note, we don't really have to wait, no, for the president to veto the bill, and probably right now we can actually file the case in the Supreme Court, question the constitutionality of this particular bill. But I think as far as the constitutionality, the only thing probably that we can question is the shifting of the regulatory function from the FDA to the DTI. But as far as the lowering of the age, I don't know if that will be affected. That can be affected.
That can be a consequence of the process, but clearly, this product has a medical impact.
Yes,
has a health concern impact, and therefore it should fall under the FDA, if not the DOH.
Yes, right. That is correct, Cito. So, I think, alam mo naman kaming mga doktor, no? Ayaw namin agad ng nakikipag...
Nako, alam nyo kasi, Doktora Limpin, dito sa bayan natin, una-unahan eh. Kung sino mauna, and then patagalan pa ng kaso. So, better that it is already in court before they can go out to the market. But having said all of that, what other alternatives are there? Because I think, to be fair, I think all of your activities, all of the activities of the different medical societies, doctors groups, parents organization, all of your activities showing the dangers of vaping has been effective kasi thank you also to COVID-19 because COVID-19 made people realize, teka, pinapatay nitong COVID-19 yung baga at puso ng mga nagiging infected. Why add to the threat by vaping? What I'm pointing out is it seems that public education and making correlations helped educate Filipinos who are smart enough to realize maybe I don't want to shoot myself.
Yeah, yes, public there is the well, I think we are able to reach the public, but I don't know if we are able to reach really all of the Filipino people. So, because if you look at the data right now, the prevalence of vaping, particularly in the young, has even increased. No, yung pinaka-latest na survey was 2019, wherein there was an increase from 2015 of 11.9%, naging 14% na noong 2019. So clearly, but of course, yung 2019 data is even before the pandemic. And,
but what happened after we had the pandemic?
Yeah, so after the pandemic, we don't know because so far there is no prevalence study that has been done for us to get the right information on the current status of vaping.
Because that's where I was going to go. Maybe if we had collected the data of all the people all the vapers who died with COVID, maybe it will be enough shock for current vapers. But my other question, Dr. Limpin, has your group or the various organizations, associations against vaping done any background check on the authors and co-authors of this proposed law? Kasi up to now naman, it is just a proposed bill. Now, many of us, I haven't had the opportunity to look into it, although I'm a regular supporter of the fight against vaping. Meron na bang nakapag-aral kung ditong mga congressman, congresswomen na nag-propose nitong bill na ito ay mga vapers?
I don't think that they necessarily have to be vaping, to support the...
Well, no, there's a correlation kasi to me, Doktora, and pasensya na, I will be honest, I have a malicious mind, Kasi the first person who would propose that kind of bill must be a vapor. Now, if they are not a vapor, then they must be lobbying for vaping, or they must be in bed with a company that is bankrolling this bill to promote vaping. Because, if it is not to the interest of public health, bakit mo ipagsusulong yan, especially as an elected official?
Well, actually, merong isang article that was written by our somebody doing investigative journalistic work, and they have actually shown some association between some of the legislators and the industry, no? So I think, and then of course, I know for one that there is one senator whose relative, I think the son is vaping, and he was actually saying that the son used to smoke and then now shifted to vaping. So and of course, he is actually believing that the lines of the industry were in. He was saying that the vaping is less harmful. But as we have actually shown to Congress, both in the lower house and in the Senate, there is really no scientific data that will show that vaping is less harmful than smoking. Because the studies so far have shown that both the e-cigarette or the smoke created that you inhale through vaping and the smoke that you inhale through cigarette both contains exactly almost the same chemicals, no? Except that the concentration of chemicals in e-cigarette is lower. But you know, Cito, kasama dito sa mga chemicals na ito are cancer-causing agents. No?
Well, more than that, Dr. Maricar, because I have done my homework. And ladies and gentlemen, just for purposes of transparency and going on the record, I was a smoker for at least 20, if not 25 years, the last 5 years being a chain smoker until I got hepatitis B and my doctor told me, sorry, but you choose. Either you clean up your act or you just basically go down the hill. So I stopped. And I know for a fact that smoking is addictive. Sa totoo lang, dapat nga ipasok yan sa illegal drugs eh. Ang laking lobby lang na ginagawa ng mga tobacco company to make it a lifestyle activity. But it is habit forming. It has been declared as addictive by many organizations, but the world is such that we don't really see what is good for us. Now, having said all of that, vaping is, from how it has been written, vaporized nicotine products. I know that you can increase the nicotine content or percentage when you vape. And this increases the potential for addiction, correct?
Yes, right. The potential to get the individual more addictive. In fact, yung mga joules ngayon, yung mga pads, no? Ang one pad of that joule pad is the nicotine content of that is equivalent already to one pack of cigarette. No, so it shows only that masyadong highly addictive yung mga e-cigarette.
Isang cartridge is equal to one pack of cigarettes.
Cigarette, the nicotine content.
Aray ko po. Ay nako, medyo good luck na lang sa inyong nagba-vaping because I'm saying this with love. I don't want to spoil your fun. If you think you look cool and you think it's not harmless, come see me. Let's do lunch and I will tell you how expensive and difficult it is to live with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Yun po yung ikinamatay ni Dolphy, yun din po meron ako. Anyway, Dr. Maricar, we are with you on this one because we don't want our children to fall victim into the greedy commercial interest of these vendors of vapes. And please continue with your fight against this. Thank you very much, Doctora.
Thank you, Cito, and please take care always.
Okay, yan po si Dr. Maricar Limpin and we thank her. She has dedicated much of her life fighting po, literally fighting against tobacco products, against so many things for the good of the Filipino people. Okay, let's go for a quick break and when we return, let's talk to our friend at the Commission on Higher Education, the Chairman Prospero de Vera III, here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran. Joining us next is the chairman of the CHED or CHED. Let's view this intro video.
Prospero de Vera III is the chairperson of the Commission on Higher Education. He is a known political advisor, serving former senators like Nene Pimentel. De Vera is also a professor of public administration at the University of the Philippines, where he also served as vice president for public affairs from 2011 to 2016.
Okay, Chairman Popoy de Vera, nabubulol-bulol ako kasi may Prospero, may Popoy, may Popong, hindi ko na malaman ko ano sasabi. Chairman, welcome back to the program. Thank you for being so generous with your time.
Good morning, Cito, from here in Zamboanga State College of Marine Science and Technology here in Zamboanga City.
Nako, please give them my love and my admiration because dyan ko nakita one of the most high-tech crab fattening facilities in the Philippines. Na-meet ko yung may-ari. Meron silang computerized system of tidal zones and feeding time, etc. Sabi ko, grabe. Magpapataba lang ng alimango, computerized pa.
Bisita ka dito, Cito. Si President Halon will host you. They have huge bangus here, no? Bigger than what you have ever seen.
Yung sabalo.
Malalaki dito.
Ayan.
Everything here is big. All the marine products are big. They have very good research here in this State College.
I will take you up on that, and we hope to feature them here on agenda because Sabalo was one of my interests in before I got into media. But anyway, given our short time with you, Chairman, matanong ko lang po, no? First of all, let's talk about the K-12 review. What is your position on the matter? Because many congressmen and senators, and I think even the incoming President BBM has said na let's evaluate K-12 because you are the ones receiving the products of the program. What is the overall observation of the higher education mentors?
Yes, I have always supported the review of the K-12 program for several reasons. Number one, there's enough data already to review it because we've been doing it for about 6 years now. No? Usually you do a policy review if there is enough time or practice on the ground already to get data. Earlier than that, yung data mo hindi reliable. So there's enough data to do it. No?
What have you discovered?
Well, on the part of higher education, the observation of many private and public universities is that the readiness of the students, are very unequal across different fields. Now, because the concept of K-12 is the student starts specializing in senior high. They go into technology, in sports, in humanities, etc. as preparation for university education. The problem is in many areas, not all the fields are available to the students. And therefore, some students who want to go into engineering, for example, the high school where they are in doesn't provide a specialization for that among the options. So when they go to university, they are not adequately prepared. They don't have the necessary math skills, for example. No? So ang nangyayari, the universities have to do remedial catch-up courses. No? So that has to be seriously reviewed. The availability of all the options at the senior high. Because if the options are really available, then we can say that your option in senior high should determine the degree program that you go to in university. We cannot do that right now.
Now
among other things.
You mentioned that we've had 6 years to collect data from. Now the problem is two of those 6 years was under COVID-19, if I'm correct. Now does that nullify the assumption na we have had enough data collected? Kasi may mga magsasabi, cancel out ninyo yung the last 2 years kasi halos hindi nga nag-eskwela ang mga bata. 4 years lang ang nangyari. And then of that 4 years, prior 4 years, the first was the launch year. So mangyayari 3 years na lang.
Yeah. That has to be factored in, Cito, because remember, some of the fields in senior high are skills-based fields.
Correct.
And the skills-based fields will have problems, if classes are held online during the pandemic. So that has to be factored in the evaluation. Pero pwede pa din tignan. For example, in the senior high, are the facilities really there for certain fields of specialization? Yeah. For example, in sports, many senior high or many high schools don't have the necessary sports facilities. If a student wants to go into sports when he goes into university, and it takes a lot of money to build up facilities for sports. For
Okay,
example.
Chairman, pasensya ka na, no? I don't want to rush you, pero ang daming subject dito, pati isang congressman, mainit ang ulo sa'yo eh. But we'll get to that, no? But okay, but what about the CHED? Because, syempre may anak din ako who went through K-12, and many of her batchmates were saying on their first year in college that almost all of them had to repeat the same subjects that they were studying under K-12. Of course, they were in private schools. Wala akong nakausap na nasa public schools. I'll be very open about that. But yun yung nadidinig ko eh. Kuyang, may 2-3 subject, inuulit lang daw, English, math, or something.
Yeah. On the other hand, Cito, there are groups that are criticizing CHED because we don't want to put back Filipino as a general education class, no? Nagagalit sila kasi nasa senior high na yan. They are insisting that it should be another subject in
or it should be
education.
elective.
Actually, pwedeng elective. Under the current rules, it can be an elective, but they want it mandatory.
Okay.
So it works both sides. There are those who are saying there is subjects that are repeated. There are also those who are saying you have to repeat actually subjects that are already in senior high because they are saying that the students did not learn what was needed in those subjects that they took in senior high. So that also has to be evaluated.
How do we resolve or what compromise can we arrive at? Kasi sabi mo nga, there are those who want to take sport education. Naisip ko lang, bakit hindi na lang i-adapt yung mga yan ng college and university on the freshman? Kumbaga, kasi 4th year and freshman, magkasunod na yan eh. Why not just put them together? Okay, if you want to take kinetics or PE or whatever, sige, dun ka na parang 'di ba ang junior and senior year natin nung college, doon tayo nag-specialization.
Well, ang ginagawa sito ng some of the state universities that have specialization in certain fields. Their high school already offers that specialization. For example, Palongpon Institute of Technology in Leyte is a very good maritime school. They have two classes in senior high. Maritime na ang content ng senior high nila. Para yun ang feeder program. That's their feeder program for their specialization at the university level. So many of the state universities are already specializing, tweaking the senior high program as a feeder program to their major programs. For example, if it's engineering, if it is maritime, etc. That is the way by which they are coping to make sure they have university-ready students when they accept them in first-year university.
Well, the reality, Chairman, and this is because my daughter was blessed to study in the Netherlands, and I've heard also from people studying abroad na yung mga international universities, ayaw nila nung hanggang grade 7 ka lang. Gusto nila K-12. So there is a requirement imposed on students who want to study abroad that they must have K-12.
We have to have K-12 as far as the CHED is concerned because Filipinos practice their profession abroad. We have a big diaspora of Filipinos abroad. So our nursing graduates, for example, cannot practice in Canada, previous graduates, because when they're assessed, their assessment is their second year university ang completed nila because K to 10 lang sila. So they cannot take the licensure exam in Canada for accountants, for nurses, and they have to study again when they go to these countries before they're allowed to take the licensure. If we take out K to 12, well, we're back to that problem again. At least now, our graduates now have the required number of years of schooling for their degrees to be accepted when they go and work in other countries.
So hindi lang pala, it's not limited to our high school graduates trying to enroll in foreign universities and not being accepted because they don't have the K to 12 under their belt. It also affects future employment because if you didn't complete the K to 12 plus the college requirement, you are deemed as undergraduate minus two.
Yes,
Okay.
so there are so many Filipino nurses working in Canada as caregivers while they study, while they get the credentials so they can take the nursing exam. It's a big problem in the Middle East, in the Scandinavian countries, in Canada, and I've spent a lot of time negotiating with the ministries in these different countries to try to recognize the degrees of Filipino nurses, accountants, etc.
Okay, now Chairman, nababanggit mo na yung nursing, merong congressman na, nako, inis sa CHED because from what I remember reading, sometime 2010, the CHED issued a department order or an memorandum where you or the department or paano ba the commission commission na lang issued a memorandum order freezing the ball on nursing schools, pati raw business administration and IT, etc. I was shocked because I remember they froze the ball on nursing because there were so many fly-by-nights or failed graduates. For IT and for nursing, pero pati pala business administration and hotel and restaurant management. Now, Congressman Elpidio Barzaga of Cavite is pushing that you guys lift that ban.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy, Cito. I wish it was easy to just lift it. No, first of all, at that time, there was a real problem. We had about 200,000 nurses, not nursing graduates, nurses who could not find jobs. And even the Philippine Nurses Association said that there is an oversupply. Number two, because there were so many nursing students, actually in the hospitals, instead of the hospitals paying the nursing students who are doing their practicum, the nursing students were paying the hospitals so they could find space in the hospitals. We cannot allow that to happen again. So the decision in 2011 was to put a moratorium on new programs, meaning the existing programs will still continue. The schools who are the good schools will continue offering it, but we close the nursing programs of the schools whose licensure tests are very low. Madaming kaso ang inabot ng CHED dyan. Buti na lang nanalo naman kami in most of the cases. No? So, the commission has already in principle agreed that it must be lifted. Now, we are strategizing on how to do the lifting using data on the ground. For example, we have more than 300 medical schools, medical and nursing schools in the Philippines, no? More than 333. But they are not very evenly distributed across regions. So we should study where are the programs adequately offered already and where are the programs where there are practically schools. Like for example, in Caraga, there are only 3 nursing schools. For a region that is very, very big, in Mimaropa, there are only 4 nursing schools in so many islands. So we have to look how are the schools distributed. Second, what is the distribution
Yeah,
between
but
public
Chairman,
and private? Yes.
okay, Chairman, the distribution or the existence of these universities or these colleges are primarily decided upon by the investors, unless the government is into investing and building nursing schools in the country. I mean, is that an existing a practice, or are you proposing that the government puts up nursing colleges in regions such as Caraga?
Well, one strategy that has to be studied is because nursing will be free under free higher education because it's an undergraduate program. So we can produce nurses using government funds because of free higher education in areas where it is really needed and where there are no providers that are public universities, for example. Because there is also a wide discrepancy between tuition rates. So hindi lang nursing, we also have to make nursing programs available in public universities because we have to produce nurses, not necessarily only those who can afford the tuition, but also those who want to become nurses but don't have the financial resources. So that has to be studied, no? The other thing that we have to look at is actually we graduate a lot of nurses, but the licensure test results are not as good. Only about 30% of graduates pass the licensure test.
Well,
So
well then pasensya na, Chairman, but whose fault is that? Kasi noon ko pa pinagpupukpukan niya bago ka pa naging chairman dyan, nandito na ako na sumisigaw about that stupid situation na why are we punishing the students by shutting down the schools when we should fine and penalize the college and university or program directors of those facilities. Kumbaga, hello, pag yung mga estudyante ninyo hindi naka 75% sa licensure, kada estudyante bayad kayo ng multa.
The policy now of the commission is that nursing schools must maintain a passing rate of 30% or higher.
Pwede ba yun, Chairman? Hello, nung panahon natin sa college, pag 75 tayo, pasang-awa tapos sila 30%. Pwede ba naman yan?
I will make you the head of the technical panel, Cito, because we are heavily criticized. Even at the 30%, sabi ng iba, wala dapat. Kasi academic freedom issue daw yan. Kung ano lang ang gusto mag-focus.
There is the issue of competency and success rates.
Exactly. You know, yung mga mababa ang passing rate, sinasara ng CHED yung kanilang nursing program.
Chairman, pasensya ka na, no? Just so that our viewers understand. Ladies and gentlemen, ako po hindi to yabang. I'm not bragging, no? But me and my wife support various kids, college students through school. And we had one particular case, we were helping a nursing student, male, para baka akalain nyo meron akong scholar na maganda. Hindi po, no? Male nurse ito, went through the school and then took the licensure dun sa panahon na nagkabistuhan na may dayaan, etc. And he had to work in a hospital for 4 years with barely any pay. Kumbaga pamasahe lang binibigay sa kanya para lang matuto siya, gumaling siya. He took the exams 3 times and it's all rooted not in the student but in the school. That student, Chairman Vera, is now working as a nurse in Northern Ireland. Kakabakasyon pa lang pinag-uwian ako na isang pirasong Toblerone ng buiset. Anyway, no, I just want to substantiate your claim that it is the university or the college programs that need to be censured or penalized for this kasi nagbabayad ang estudyante.
Yes, that's why we have very tight standards for schools that will open nursing programs. Even if we lift the moratorium, we must make sure that very tight standards are observed. Ang akala yata nung iba, pag nilift yung moratorium ng CHED, kahit na sino makakapagbukas. Hindi po natin pwedeng gawin yan. For example, we are requiring, just like in medicine, that the nursing programs have a base hospital. if they don't have a base hospital, they should not open a nursing program. Because where will the students go for their experience, for their practical experience? That is non-negotiable as far as the CHED is concerned. Credentials of the faculty must be non-negotiable for new programs.
Okay, Chairman.
I will be criticized again for this because, some say it's an academic freedom issue. You just let the universities open.
Ay sos, nako po. Tawagan mo lang ako, Chairman. Tayo makipagbabag, sanay na ako dyan. Anyway.
Ang isa pa, one last point dito. Kailangan pag-aralan din. Kaya meron tayong nursing lock kasi hindi nakapagbigay ng licensure test during the 2 years of COVID.
Ayun, okay. Now,
so, pag nag-open tayo dyan, actually madami ang papasok. And finally, more than 50% of our nursing graduates are actually practicing abroad.
Okay.
Those are data that we should all consider and look into when we do lifting of the moratorium.
Last 1 minute, meron daw state universities and colleges na fair. Nung panahon natin, yung mga fair na yan, para lang makapanligaw. Ano naman tong SUC fair ng CHED?
Ito, under my term, nag-fair kami nung 2019 dito sa Ayala Mall. At dinumog talaga ng tao. Now we're doing it in SM MOA next week. All the state universities will exhibit their products. So if you want to tour around the Philippines but you don't have the money for airfare, just go to MOA.
Wait a minute. What do you mean products? Because the only products of SUCs are students, graduates.
Nako. So pumunta ka dito, you be our guest. Gagawin kitang guest dun sa wine tasting contest ng mga wines produced by the different schools.
Ikaw naman, Chairman, maisipin tuloy ng mga tao, tanggero ko No. But what do you mean products? What are the products?
Oh, they produce very good products. You want the best barong, you get the products of Aklan State University. You want silk barong, you go to the booth of Don Mariano Marcos State University. You want the best magnet, you go to the booth of Mariano Marcos State University.
Wala na. Pas na tayo sa tagay at sa bagnet. Matanda na tayo dalawa, Chairman.
You want the best mangoes, you go to the booth of Guimaras State College.
Okay.
Guimaras State University. You can tour the whole Philippines in one venue.
Okay.
All the products of all the
state university colleges at the SMOA, what date?
That's already next week, I think, on the 28th. On the 28th of this month, and it is I think 3 or 4 day.
Sige.
Punta ka dito, tell me when you're going. Para I am serious. I will make you the judge of the wine tasting contest. Masarap. There is a seaweed wine from Summer State University, colored green.
Pabira ka naman. Yun nga palabas na squid, hindi ko pinanood yung pang-wine na yan. Okay, anyway, Chairman Popoy de Vera, thank you very much. But maybe you can do a return of the comeback next week before the fair or in the middle of the fair and we can promote it. But I think I will take you up on that invitation because it's a good tie-up for tourism, for education, and for product development. Okay, thank you very much.
They have a very, very beautiful lagoon here where the migratory birds have stopped migrating because the lagoon is a very good place for them to stay. Dito sa loob ng kanilang campus.
That's sa Zamboanga. Thank you very much, Chairman. Okay. That's Chairman Popoy de Vera of the Commission on Higher Education. Let's now go to our blessing for the week from Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 8. The Lord will send a blessing on your barns and on everything you put your hand to. The Lord your God will bless you in the land he is giving you. Name it, claim it, declare it, and thank God for it. As I thank you for joining us here on Agenda, please keep it here on One News PH.